It's working on it.
And Patrice, just a reminder, we will be going into executive session.
Okay.
So we'll just take it off the feed.
Okay. So, um, it is there and
Yep.
we are about to go live. Okay. Okay, we should be up and running. And bear with me while I hit the record button.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Okay. We good to go, Patrice? You're
Yes, we are good.
okay. I was like, you're muted, so I can't tell. Okay, great. Welcome everyone to the MAPC officers meeting for Monday, August 4th, 2025. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 9:04 a.m. And with that, I'm going to take roll. Imai,
Present.
Sam,
Present.
Jen, absent right now. Erin, here. Okay, great. And with that, the first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes from July 7th, 2025. Are there questions or comments on that item?
I have none. I will move approval of the minutes.
Great.
I will
Is there a
second.
great motion made by Sam, second made by Imai. Roll is required. Imai,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Erin, I. Motion carries 3-0. Jen just texted me saying she's signing on, so that'll be great. But let's move on to contracts. Lizzie?
Yeah. And I have them pulled up and ready to go if you're okay with me sharing my screen.
I am, because I only glanced at them. So
Sure.
this
Hang on
will,
just one sec.
this will help.
Yeah, let me get that. Make sure I have share capacity.
Is there like a 10% New York inflation rate on these?
Of course.
Have you bought a bottle of water at a corner store yet?
Oh yeah,
Did it cost you $12 or
it
something?
did, but then I carried the bottle around with me. My water bottle is like too heavy for New York.
That's one of New York's great inventions is the corner store. Like the true, like everywhere you turn, there's like
Yes, that's true. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see this? There's like I have like a okay. Can you see the
yes.
I can see it.
Yeah.
okay. So revenue contracts for this month. Kind of more stuff moving into the agency from from the last month, so more kind of coming in July. I wanted to bring folks' attention to, I think it's the two public health ones, the Cambridge Public Health and the Health Resources in Action. So the Cambridge Public Health Department CHIP implementation, this is our 6th year assisting the Cambridge Public Health Department with evaluation and implementation of their community health improvement plan. And that includes activities to address key health issues in the city. We evaluate implementation efforts, engagement with residents, and impact. And like I said, it's our 6th year doing it, so we're excited to see that come back. And then I also wanted to highlight the HRA Health Resources in Action for the Root Cause Solutions Exchange, which is ongoing work with DPH through a partnership with HRA to connect organizations who are addressing the root cause of health inequities, so housing, environmental issues, racism, and to provide technical assistance and coaching to cities and towns and community organizations. And then the last one I wanted to draw folks' attention to is the final one on the list, the Mass Gaming Commission. So this is, it's a $300,000 contract, $250,000 of pass-through goes to a consultant to design a portion of the new Greenway connector in Chelsea. This design phase follows a previous Mass Gaming Commission grant that we received that you might remember, funding and evaluation of Greenway routes, connecting Chelsea and Everett to the casino. And we're working with the cities of Everett, and Chelsea. And then the $50,000 that MAPC holds coordinates the municipality's engagement, design consultant, and grant administration for these 2 years. But I'm glad to take questions on anything else. I just wanted to highlight those. The rest are pretty straightforward and explanatory.
Great. Questions or comments for Lizzie?
So Lizzie, for the Chelsea Everett connector, has the location and the route actually been chosen now? Is it on that phase? So it's actually like into like engineering design.
Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
still in early engineering design, but
Okay.
yes, we had a previous grant from the Mass Gaming Commission to do sort of the first planning part of this work, and now we're moving into the next part, which is why the 50K that we're keeping is really on the engagement side.
Cool. Gotcha. Thank you.
And I'll just ask on the top one, Lizzie, I don't know that you were mentioned it or not, the Mass Department of Public Health. So $1 million, 350,000 staying in MAPC. Is it, sorry, did you go through?
Oh, no. So that one is our HMCC coordination. So that's dollars that go to our municipal collaboration team. It supports the work that we do in the Health and Medical Coordinating Coalition. So bringing together hospitals for major triage events in the event of an emergency. That's sort of the funding that also helps to spearhead and support some of our emergency preparedness work on the health side. So those are ongoing dollars that we've received. It's a pass-through to DPH to MAPC, and that supports 2.5 full-time staff.
Okay.
Sorry about that. It's a contract.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just saw it as a large dollar amount.
It's a large dollar amount, yeah.
And this is maybe not for this meeting, but for kind of down the road. Because I remember Mark talking about this a lot, was really doing a post-COVID assessment, really doing a hard look back a couple of years back and just saying, what did we learn? What did we not learn? I would be interested to kind of personally to push that a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know if there's difficulty doing something like that or not.
No, I think it's funny actually, Sam. I was looking back at my notes from the last meeting because you actually raised this the last time too. And I think I need to have a conversation internally to figure out how we fund ourselves to do that evaluation work. I think there's a few pockets where we can pull it from, but I also think some of our communities might be interested in a TAP application for it. And so might DPH to think about that work. And we, I'm sure you remember we now also have an epidemiologist on staff full time. And so some of that kind of looking back and looking forward work is we have that information in-house. So I think we can, I have a note to myself to try to figure out how to get that work off the ground.
Okay, it's not an August conversation, but maybe it's a September, October conversation. Anyway, those are my questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Great.
All right, let me pull up, I'll stop sharing that one, and then let me pull up the next one. Hold on. I'm not as fast as some. All right. Kidding. Pass through. Ema, I'm determined to get through this while you're still with us.
No pressure. I know. I feel it too when I'm trying to like bring up screens.
So many
I feel like I have to
screens, yeah.
narrate for everybody. I'm still doing something.
Sure. Okay, so this is, can everyone see this? Pass through contracts. The whole, a lot of finishing up the drought resilience grant work inside environment. So those are dollars that went to some of the folks who supported us in an advisory capacity for that in the June contracts. Dollars for municipal collaboration around Homeland Security, and then some of our digital equity work. And then in the July contracts, again, pretty self-explanatory work in our clean energy department. A lot of those sort of first 4 clean energy, we are getting very close to finalizing the climate action plan. And so we're trying to spend down all of those dollars I think 3 of those are related to that. And then the others, again, pretty self-explanatory, Immunicolab and public health and transportation.
I couldn't find my mouse.
Well,
Questions or comments? Sam, go ahead.
unless Imai wants to ask, but I see Mass Gaming Commission again with community connections, $1 million. Is that's different from what we just were looking at, right?
Yep. So this is actually dollars that go through the MPO. So it's
Okay.
through CTPS, and so it's dollars. They are essentially, they get dedicated dollars from the Mass Gaming Commission as part of the mitigation agreement from 1,000 years ago / 10 years ago. And these are those dollars that go back out to support their work as for adjacent communities related to the casino.
And then just because I'm curious, the night vision devices, what are we buying for? Who's getting what?
So it's, that's a spend down. Obviously it's on the implementation side. So it's actually a spend down, not on dollars that go back to the agency, but to dollars that support purchase. And it's exactly what it sounds like, night vision devices for security police.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
That one piqued my curiosity too, Sam. Like I looked at that, and the other thing
Exactly.
then that kind of brings this up for me is like, whenever we're talking about like security and kind of like paramilitary sounding gear,
Mhm.
it brings up a visceral fear for me in this climate.
Mhm.
And I don't know the danger of this. I don't know how much we should fear it, but how much do we know of whatever we spend on Homeland Security, that it's not going to like masks for ICE agents, I guess, is
Yeah.
what I want to say.
That's a good question. And timely. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to see all of you answer this question. So it's a good question, and it's timely because we're actually already starting to have conversations about the next round of Homeland Security dollars, FY20. They're always kind of a fiscal year behind. So it's FY25 Homeland Security, which is coming to us. This kind of gets a little bit into our next topic with some new terms and conditions. And when we made an agreement a long time ago to take on this role, we agreed that we would not purchase large weapons and ammunition. That's sort of where we drew a line. But when we are purchasing, and we have an opportunity to see every single thing that we're purchasing, there's nothing that comes through our purchasing that looks obfuscating. Sometimes they have really G.I. Joe sounding names, but you can actually see exactly what is being purchased. And it's all in support of public safety. And for now, and I've been reviewing these contracts now, obviously with Margie and the municipal collaboration team for 3 years since I moved into the deputy role, because I oversee this team. There's nothing that's come up that I've thought, wow, that feels really extra, or really far outside the realm of something that seems like a public safety purchase. So that has not come up, nor does our existing contract force those types of purchases. And we'll talk about it again, like I said, later in the agenda today. There's nothing that forces particular purchases. We still have some room and discretion, but I think you're right to be thinking about that issue.
Okay. I appreciate that you're overseeing it with that eye, and I trust you to do so, and I'm glad to know you are. So
we look at every single one of those purchases. And sometimes it, like I said, it has like a very paramilitary sounding title of organization, entity that we're purchasing something from. And it's like cooling fans for emergency shelters. It's just, which is part of security as well.
I just want to second Imai's concerns. I'm no longer in the middle of these discussions, but I do remember, for example, in Cambridge, I think the purchase of an armored vehicle, so with armor plating. that to at least some in the community that felt too far, right? But
Right.
why do we need an armored vehicle for?
Yeah, and we have purchased those. In fact, we just helped one of our Homeland Security regions purchase one within the last year. But I'll remind you that a couple of years ago, when there was a totally separate paramilitary force outside of Woburn, we did use those armored vehicles to provide barriers so that we could cordon off the area. We were very involved in that in our Homeland Security efforts. And so there are domestic reasons. I mean, people use the armored vehicles at July 4th to keep pedestrians safe on the streets. And that, especially now that vehicles are often being used as weapons, those large vehicles are actually can also be a safety device. I think it's
Yeah, no, I'm not necessarily arguing against it. But the perception that your local police force is basically becoming a military force with sniper rifles and
the vast majority of those
for buildings.
vehicles are regionalized. It's not every single police force owns one because they're way too expensive. And that's why you have an entity like us.
All right, you don't have to defend it now, but I do think there is at least on the perception level, there's a feeling that we have a U.S. Army for a reason, and it's not
Totally understood.
not the Cambridge Police Force.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Okay.
Margie, did you want to say something?
The only thing I would add is that a lot of the equipment is used for technical rescue purposes, like these night vision devices. And so while they may sound very paramilitary, they're generally made for rescue of citizen in dire situations. So I don't want to be too swayed by the sound of some of these things. And you do know that these vendors like to sound like they are military and they sound military, but the devices are being used for technical rescue purposes.
I just since we're doing a little bit of back and forth, but I think the challenge is if you're on the other side of this and you're on a tactical squad on a police department, you always need that next piece of equipment. And from the citizen's point of view, when has it gone too far? Like when are we? Right? It's just about personal liberty. It's about when does the government really going too far on some of this stuff? I think that's the only point I'm trying to raise.
I'll quote our previous director of municipal collaboration, Mark Fine, when he would often remind me that we only ever think about the way we need our public safety officials when we need them. And so part of what we trust in our coordination with police departments is working with them to make some of these decisions about what equipment that they need on the ground, particularly if they can get somewhere faster to increase safety and support residents.
Understood.
So I think,
Understood. But the counter argument is if your local police department is forced to coordinate with ICE and has all this extra capability, you're saying this is not what we paid for with our taxes. Like we don't support the policy and we don't support the actions, and yet we've given them, or they've built the capabilities themselves. So that's all.
I understand. I definitely do. I think it's a balance. I think that's why, honestly, I'm glad that we are sort of in this space, because I think if we ceded it to somebody else, some of those purchases might look different.
Yes. Okay.
Great. So let's move on to hiring and staff changes.
Sure. So a couple of updates here. We are just about to do finalist interviews for our Arts and Culture Assistant Director. We made an offer last week to a really exceptional candidate for our clean energy team. I think folks remember we lost somebody there. We kind of are trying to figure out federal dollars that are coming in to support the clean energy team and felt like we should hire one to replace. So we made an offer. We're waiting. I think this week we'll have an answer from that candidate. We have posted the land use manager position, so that is up. And we have a senior economic development planner that we have also posted. Slightly fewer applications coming in for that position. And the team happens to be extremely picky because they know exactly what they're looking for. So that one's moving just a little bit slower than some of these others. At the moment, I'd say we have 2 job descriptions on the horizon that'll be coming out within the next couple of weeks. One is an additional hire inside our HR team. So when Holly moved into the director of that position and Angela is no longer at MAPC, we decided to hire into HR for somebody that has some DEI experience. So they would help support some of the internal equity initiatives of the agency, but that we would actually split out some of that work from the director of HR, which is in Holly's role right now. So that job description is going to be forthcoming. I'll probably review it this week or next. And then I just saw a job description at the end of last week from Javier to add another person into community engagement, which we budgeted for at the end of the fiscal year. So that job description, our goal is to try to hire for both of those positions, the HR position and the community engagement position, by the end of the first quarter. And so hopefully those will be up very soon and we'll be able to bring some good people in.
Great. Questions or comments? Sam?
No,
What do you
no,
want?
no, it's okay. That's okay. I have no
I
questions.
love talking about hiring, Sam. It's way less contentious. in here.
Yeah, I know. Still thinking about the tactical squad, guys.
Oh my gosh.
No questions. No
Oh,
questions.
good. Excellent. Because I want to get to other business not known at the time of the posting.
So I think the big one here is potentially changing the schedule for the September and October officers meetings. I didn't know, Erin, did you want to do the update on federal issues first?
Oh, I skipped it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
We can do federal issue update.
Okay.
Issues update. Sorry, I skipped.
No, it's okay. So as has become increasingly the case, it's a bit of like fine news and some news that we're watching. So I think at the moment, the things that have ongoing federal dollars attached to them where we are really still moving, we have not heard of any rescissions around our pro-housing grant. So that work is continuing to move. We have signed MOUs with a number of cities and towns to actually move that work forward. Our climate action plan, which is from the CPRG grant, is actually due tomorrow. So we have been doing a really fast spend down of those federal dollars because we are pretty sure that any subsequent dollars will actually be part of the rescission, but we at least spent down up until this deliverable. And then we actually have some additional separate dollars that I think we're going to use to kind of build on all the work that we did at the with the CPRG and the climate action plan so that we don't lose all of that work, even though the federal government is no longer interested. The places where we are watching, and I alluded to this a minute ago with your questions, Imai, are around the FY25 Homeland Security grants. So as a reminder, the way these dollars come to MAPC, it's actually EOPS, the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, EOPS, that the money comes into the state. And then we serve as this fiduciary for several of the Homeland Security regions, and then we coordinate the Northeast region. The RFP or the announcement of funding availability was announced last week. Some of the terms and conditions that we had seen before were included in that announcement. At the same time, it included some more onerous and, in my personal opinion, abhorrent positions around Homeland Security and border security. It added some somewhat innocuous language around supporting dollars for fusion centers, but it had no minimum spend on fusion centers.
Sorry, what's a fusion center?
They are related to large data.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually very interesting that this is being funded through Homeland Security. It really shouldn't be, but I think because that's where so much of this administration is funneling dollars, that's where big data centers are going to actually see money is through this Homeland Security lens. They're not actually related,
Okay.
but it's where the money might come from. So this is not a decision that we MAPC make to go after this funds. It's completely up to EOPS whether or not this moves forward. But we did see these terms and conditions, and I wanted to let all of you know that we are watching this very closely. We think there's enough flexibility in the language that if we do actually move forward with these dollars, we will be fine to actually spend the way that we have spent in the past. Though there are some outstanding questions because the federal government has decided that Massachusetts is itself a sanctuary state, that there might be, they might actually pull back some dollars that would ordinarily come to the Commonwealth. But again, that is an unknown at the moment. And whether or not we enter into these contracts is up to EOPS. I asked Margie to be on the call for this and for a later conversation, but I wanted to flag that we also did flag the language for the Attorney General's office as well, just because we've have an ongoing conversation with them, and we're trying to remind them of the places where the regional planning agencies are actually impacted by some of these federal funding decisions. So we did let them know. And then this week, I think Amy, our municipal collaboration director, has a call with EOPS almost every day to kind of figure out what the next steps are on whether the state is going to be applying for these funds or entering a contract to receive them. I'm going to stop for a second and just see, Margie, if there's anything I missed in that overview or anything you wanted to add there, and then we can take questions.
Sure. The only thing I'd add is that this is part of a different grant as well. These exact same terms and conditions from Homeland Security are now up on review in Federal District Court in New York. On a different grant, but also Homeland Security. These new terms and conditions apparently went into effect in April and May, but we didn't know about them because we haven't been looking at new Homeland Security grants. It's only when it came to us last week that we could start opening up new T's and C's and see what the requirements are. There's also language on DEI, and there's very clear language on the False Claims Act. Because they're asking signers of these contracts to certify that they follow all of the requirements of the terms and conditions, and the False Claims Act would create personal liability for the signers. So, you know, Lizzie signed something, they could sue Lizzie in her individual capacity, and the Department of Justice has made a determination that this is the appropriate way to go forward, and it gives citizens, so let's just say watchdogs, the right, a private right of action to sue Lizzie individually for certifying and violating federal law. So that is a very chilling impact that happens because signers do not want to be, they would not have government immunity. And so it's a very strong signal from the feds. So this is now up on appeal, more on the, I would say what's really up on appeal not is the False Claims Act, which has been law for many, many years, but not on the DEI, which we could probably fudge, but really on some of the data sharing requirements and cooperation with ICE.
Yep.
Would
So
she
then
be
I'm
covered
following
by,
that.
would she be covered by officers' insurance? Officers and executive insurance?
I'm going to go with a big giant maybe.
Probably.
So she individually would have to defend herself.
Possibly. My argument would be that she's doing it in her official capacity, and therefore our insurance should cover her with that. What the insurance company does with that, I don't know. I think they'd have a hard argument to disagree. They'd have to take a political stance, and that is not something that Massachusetts insurers are so interested in doing.
And
So I think the likelihood is that we would have legal protection, but it would not necessarily insulate Lizzie from her individual liability if there was a case against her.
But I'll just note, Sam, this isn't unusual to MAPC. Jen is in the same position. Anybody who's running a city or town, anybody who's an elected in a city or town would be in this, possibly opening themselves up to that kind of liability.
And this comes under whatever this money bucket is, all of these would be. So what's to stop Joe or Jane Citizen who's just pissed off at Jen because Jen didn't, turn the park into a dog park from suing.
Right.
And
That's the question.
turning Jen's life into absolute misery.
Well, there's nothing to stop that now, unfortunately.
Right.
Sorry, Jen.
This is what we sign up for. This is
But
Yeah.
these certifications create a new set of screws.
Mhm.
And it's just now being tested. This hasn't happened before. We don't see a lot of these cases. They're called qui tam cases, and you almost never see them. And it would also take somebody to be funded to start filing these claims because it doesn't come for free. You'd have to have
Yeah.
attorneys do it, and you'd have to have probably political organizations to fund it.
But
And
they're there.
but
Those
they are-
organizations are there.
Of course.
They look for people to come up and make those cases against. I mean, to me, this sounds like they're lining up folks who probably already aggrieved out there and, looking to take action against, folks who, like us in this room, who promote a progressive agenda and give them one more tool to do it.
I think the
And
tools
so-
are there, but what's really interesting to me, Imai, is that the Department of Justice started talking about this months ago and pushing these kinds of actions as an appropriate methodology. You're not seeing them. Doesn't mean that it won't happen, but it wasn't something that just came right out of the gate.
Is the only liable person the signer of the contract?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the place where you are likely to see that, I'm not worried right now,
Yeah.
but I think the place where you are much more likely to see this is in the education setting. I think we will see some of those private actions.
Why isn't just we filed all our data and I'm Joe Schmo and I say, yeah, but it's not complete. I don't think it's complete. I'm filing a lawsuit against you. And then 2 years later, you sort out whether or not the data was complete or not. And it's like 2 years and $100,000 of legal fees later. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to get us too stuck on this, but the chilling effect seems pretty strong.
Well, that's the intent.
That's
of it.
intense. Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear and it's clever, but it hasn't really germinated the way I would have thought.
Mhm.
And so we'll start seeing what happens with these claims now. And the Attorney General is very much aware of these actions. And we'll have to think about what it means when Lizzie signs things. Are there things that we can do to insulate her further personally with her signatures?
Well, I think I was just speaking for myself as a member of the officers. I think the officers and the board have a responsibility towards Lizzie to protect her at whatever level we can figure out how to do that. I mean, she shouldn't have to be at risk for action she's taking as a public official. That seems ridiculous.
I understand exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
And there are steps we can take to
Yep.
try.
And there's some of those are personal steps that I can talk about with my family lawyer too.
Okay. But I still, my statement still holds.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I think it's an obligation on our part. I mean, I think it's a duty on our part as officers too.
I will say, I think a lot of our communities are having the same conversation with respect to their superintendents and their town managers
Right.
and administrators, because I think it's different than when you're elected. That's a different liability, but I think it feels there's an additional level that I think is out there right now, and I think a lot of our communities are having that conversation as well.
Yeah.
Margie, just a quick question, somewhat related. What is the best way to stay apprised of any updates? I have not been I don't know if the AG on her calls have been speaking to this.
She did reference it from what I
Okay.
understand, which
Yeah.
is why I went out looking for it.
Okay,
Because I got the notes from that meeting and that's how I was able to find the litigation.
okay,
Also,
great.
I'm happy to continuously share with Lizzie, who can share with you all, things that I'm learning because, I got my ear to the ground as much as I possibly can on these
Right.
things. And I'm reading everybody's T's and C's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now we're looking at it so closely. And, I'll be honest, on this particular one, I am grateful that it is a decision that it is not on us to make this decision. This is not a question before you, but
right.
but that EOPS will be making this decision. And it does, I will just say anecdotally, it seems like the administration is working in much greater coordination and also spending a lot of time looking at all of these terms and conditions right now.
If this is rejected in the New York courts, does it apply in Massachusetts?
It would. So I just want to be clear, that case in New York is about the FEMA dollars. And so there's some overlap, but it would actually apply.
Same Ts and Cs.
Yeah.
And Massachusetts is a party.
Exactly.
Okay.
To that New York case.
There are 19 AGs in the District of Columbia.
Some of these specific pieces related to Homeland Security would, I think, require their own and new filing, but that's not on the table yet. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, and I have an update about it at our next meeting.
Okay. All right.
Does
Well,
this sort of thing, though, does the outcome of this decision create a precedent moving forward, or is it isolated from future examples?
It would create a precedent because it's inside the same secretariat at the federal level for these terms and conditions. It might not if transportation decides to rewrite their T's and C's again and add something else in. There might need to be a fresh litigation that would start on those. But if the FEMA case is decided that includes, again, verbatim these terms and conditions, we would be able to say, and all 19 jurisdictions that were included would be able to say, these were struck,
Right.
we're not abiding, they don't apply to this other agreement that's moving through the same secretariat at
Right.
that level.
But on the
Something that
other
could
side,
change
they might
that.
feel more powerful to make similar changes in other areas if they are successful in these changes.
So considering how these changes have been, similar changes have been reviewed in transportation Ts and Cs, I would be very surprised if there was no action on this. The only thing that would change whether it applies to what we're doing is it depends on the language of the preliminary injunction issued by the judge. So the judge could tailor the
Right, make it
decision,
narrow.
yeah, make the Ts and Cs applicable solely to the FEMA grant.
Mhm.
Now, we would then raise that and we would look to the AG, and I mean we, meaning EOPS, because this is their case. They're the ones who have standing. And they stand to lose millions of dollars, which they can't afford to do. So I could see this happening similarly. But anytime there is a precedent, even if it is a narrowly tailored one, that's particularly useful to the judge, who is then going out and making a similar decision on a different grant, if that's how it works out. So it depends on how the judge drafts it.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you.
I'm not a lawyer, but is the provision stayed while it's under consideration, or is it operational now, or is it not operational
Right now, it's operational. There is no stay of it.
Okay.
And is this the same class action suit, sorry, as I think it was the transportation.
Separate.
No.
This is another, so, okay,
No, and it is a preliminary injunction. It's not a class action, which
okay.
based on some other Supreme Court precedent, we might actually need to consider a class action but that's not on the table, and that wouldn't be, again, we wouldn't be deciding whether to enter a class. That would be at the state level. It's just a trickier, more difficult bar than the preliminary injunction. But
Okay,
it's different than the previous one. This
But
is
I
about
think-
the
I'm
FEMA
sorry.
dollars.
I was going to say, I think what we can see is every time a portion of it gets struck, a new
Mhm.
one comes up. So it's whack-a-mole, right? So
Whack-a-mole.
we are continuously trying to, as you know, states and organizations thereunder, figure out how to thwart these things. But you know, this is a long game, and they are continuing. We're going to play whack-a-mole for a long time.
A lot of time and a lot of money.
and it's likely damned if we do, damned if we don't, because if we're successful on one, that
It's
might
gonna
also
keep us-
encourage them to expand, and if we're not, they'll just, the whack-a-mole will continue.
Yes, I mean, I think the other thing that will happen is you will also start to see some states willingly complying. And that will also impact the situation. Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Because those states, they might actually redirect dollars from states like ours to states that are willingly complying.
Yep.
And then we have a different set of questions to answer.
Hence the chilling effect. And yeah,
Yep.
I'll leave it there.
I'll just my takeaway. I don't mind battling with the federal government over what their priorities are and what our priorities are, but the idea that Lizzie is personally liable for this is, I think, not. I think we have to do everything in our power to protect our
I
executive.
will be there with a sword and spear. We may have to get it through our Homeland Security dollars, but I will be there.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not
All right.
worried.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, it's not the first time I've actually been in a position where I understood that I was personally liable. And when I moved into the deputy role, we again took some steps to secure that. And I knew exactly what I was signing up for.
Yeah, and it sounds like, but it just, I mean, I think anybody could make oh, well, they weren't completely.
Yep.
They didn't file all the data. And then there's a question, well, did we or didn't we? Well, let's spend
Yep.
2 years trying to figure out if we did or we didn't, so.
Yep.
All right.
Great, thank you. Is there any other federal update? I mean, that is quite a lot.
Not that I think we got the big ones.
Yeah.
I think that's probably enough.
Well,
But also continue to use us as a resource if you have questions. Norman is still, and our government affairs team is still, consistently and constantly reading all the executive orders and offering summaries to our staff. If it's helpful to share that back out with you, we're glad to. There was a particularly heinous one last week about homelessness.
okay. Well, thank you to you and the staff for spending so much time on this and being so attentive, I guess is the way to say it. Because I'm sure it's not exactly light reading, and it's kind of giving me a stomach ache, and you're just giving me like the high level stuff right now.
I'll just say, I think honestly, at the staff level, it is like scary and very stressful. A lot of our staff, I've started to get these weekly reports from our directors, and a lot of what they are reporting is that what's happening at the federal level is very difficult, like personally and professionally. For myself, I feel like it's like, okay, we have to figure out what we're doing at the state level to protect what we have, and at the local level to support our cities and towns. And that's the message I'm taking with our staff.
Well, thank you for that.
Erin, can I just add to that to Lizzie, both and everybody, that both to keep us informed, which I'm sure you will do, but also if we as officers or the board can be helpful to your staff,
yep,
to indicate support for them, please do request
I
it.
appreciate that. Yeah, there might come a time where the next time we're actually bringing directors together with the board, we're actually thinking about exactly that, Sam.
Because I mean, it's one thing to lose money, it's another thing to destroy the agency. And it seems like they're trying to do both. So I really hope we can keep the agency even if we have less money. So
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Now, other business not known at the time of the posting. I know we have the September officers meeting to talk about. We also, and Lizzie, I haven't talked to you about this, but I also want to talk about the August executive committee meeting as well.
Sure. Tell me what you wanted. How do you want
Okay, let's do officers first, because it's just, I have Imai's answers. Would Sam and Jen,
Yes.
are you okay with changing the officers meeting to Monday, September 15th?
live or virtual?
You mean in person? We're
Yeah,
always live.
sorry. In person or on the phone, as it were.
I think we talked about doing it in person, but
Okay.
if your availability is limited, I just need to know that.
I can do Monday the 15th. Yes.
Okay.
I can do the 15th as well.
Perfect. So that is unanimous. We can move it to Monday, September 15th. We'll just need to have dry cough, sorry. We just need to have that changed in the meeting invite and then obviously posting moving forward.
And that's at 9:30 in person. Does that work for folks?
Yes,
Great, excellent.
yes. As long as it works for Jen
It's fine.
and Sam.
Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. All right, great. Next up is August. Hold on, let me get my calendar up. The August Executive Committee meeting. I would like to move that back to the 27th if possible, and I'll kind of share why. Jen and I have been on serving on the search committee, and for the executive director position, and based on our most recent contract with Robert Half, we did an update with the contract. Thank you, Margie, for assisting with that last week. Our deadline now, instead of the 15th of August, is now the 22nd of August to allow for any scheduling challenges we have with vacations and interviews and stuff like that. Therefore, the search committee will have a recommendation to executive committee no later than August 22nd. Therefore, I would prefer not to meet on August 20th because I don't want to wait 4 weeks, 5 weeks, but instead move our regularly scheduled August meeting to the 27th so we're able to successfully appoint a permanent executive director on the 27th. Howie? Yes, Sam?
I mean,
Oh,
yes.
good.
That works for me as well.
Ah, perfect. Is that okay with you, Lizzie?
So I have one question, which is, I assume I would not be at that meeting on the 27th. I don't know.
I suppose. Well,
No, I think you
I
would
don't
be.
know. Yeah.
I think you would be
Yeah.
easy.
Okay,
I would put it in your calendar to
Okay.
attend that meeting.
great.
Okay.
Yes. Patricia and I
And
have to
that
do some
meeting
defensive
has,
calendaring, but that would work.
okay. And that meeting will be in person.
Are there other items for that agenda or we just, oh, it's an exec, it's,
It's like our regular
regular.
meeting
okay,
with
Okay.
the appointment.
okay.
So we would have,
Treasurer's
regular
report.
contract, treasurer's report. Yep. Although obviously Sam's still dealing with end of fiscal year stuff, but you
Yeah,
and Anna would connect and we'd walk through that. There is actually a really interesting project share that one of my teams is like, they're like dying to get to the XCOM to talk about it. So we could also do a project share update if folks are interested.
Okay. Lizzie, let's talk about that, what that agenda looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Because I guess it also depends on like what legislative committee has, what.
Sure.
I also don't want to delay the voting of that item.
Sure.
I just want to.
sure. If it needs to change, that's fine. We have some time to kind of we don't have to post an agenda. If we're going to move it, we wouldn't have to post until Friday, the 22nd. So if there's things that need to shift, that's fine and we can. But
Okay,
for now, we can assume that the meeting will be on the 27th and we can start preparing an agenda and add that piece in at the end. Yeah.
perfect.
Great.
And then I would just ask either Lizzie or Patrice, whoever, to obviously change the calendar invite, but also to notify the executive committee of that change
Sure.
at the request of the officers. I'll
Yep.
just say. Okay, thank you so much for that. I really didn't want to have an additional executive committee meeting or to wait a month.
I understand. I mean, same.
I'm like, yeah. Okay, great. Any other business not known at the time of this posting? Oh,
The only
Margie.
challenge is the October.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
And I
okay.
didn't,
The October officers meeting, I was just going to suggest that we email about that separately. Yeah. Okay.
yes, that would be amazing.
Great.
Please and thank you.
So in a bit
Yes.
of good news, because, I don't think we've had that, I'm going to share that we have had another H-1B cap exempt approval from the federal government. This is now 9 we've been successful with. And we have a very, very happy staff member who can be with us up to 6 more years as a result of it. And I'm really grateful to our outside counsel for allowing us to continue in this vein. I think we will continue. This will be the path forward for us.
And I'm really grateful for Margie because actually getting us into this research institution space was completely her idea, something she pursued and has made happen for us. And it only contributes to the amazing staff that we have across both agencies. So
I
please.
told Lizzie this will be my legacy here of my creative thinking, and so I'm really grateful that that's it. But I can tell you that now the national regional planning organizations have picked up on our work and just had their first. One of their regional planning agencies also had their first cap exempt research organization approval. So I'd like to think what we did here has had some great spillover nationally.
Great, nice
Talk
work.
about it every NARC conference.
Bravo. Well done.
It's really cool.
Love it. I like ending on good news. Well, ending open session on good news. Anything else?
Aaron, if we do have a recommendation for the 27th,
Mhm.
do we need to send that out in a certain amount of time so people can process them? No, it can just be-
No, so what the intent is that the search committee will create a document sharing the process. Because while everyone's been on vacation and having fun, some of us have been spending
Doing this.
20 hours a week doing this right now or more. And a lot of work's been done, a lot of conversations been had. So I think it's important to kind of share that process and also share some data regarding candidates. And I am working with Robert Half. Emily and I had a call on that Friday afternoon to kind of talk about like what we want that document to look like, to kind of share that. And it's going to be very much like that LegCom and how they do, the summary, the overview, kind of like the deeper dive, and then also a recommendation for vote for the 27th. So hopefully everyone will feel like really good about that. And I know that some search committee members, not just Jen, myself, and Steve, we have talked about some search committee members also attending that executive committee meeting. If there's any like questions people have and supporting like the recommendation for executive committee to vote on.
Okay. But this will be the first time that the exec has seen this report, heard the background. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But we have been operating at the direction of executive committee and officers, honestly, because the officers obviously created the contract, selected the vendor, and then approved the contract. And we've been really working within the confines of both parties' intents.
No, I believe and trust all that. It's just sometimes when groups get information
I know.
for the first
Well,
time.
tell your friends.
Yeah.
We have been working at the direction of the two groups and working really hard. I can't speak highly enough for the committee itself and those members. Like they've really taken a lot of time out of their days, and not everyone sits on executive committee or have run to spend this time, and it's been really incredible.
Yeah.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Erin because I think she's doing triple time over some of us on the process and keeping everybody very well informed. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I will be also creating a communication for staff as well on the update. So it's going to be 2 different kind of communications, just so everyone feels like they understood how we got to that recommendation. And it might be the same document. It just might be a little less detail, more or less.
I appreciate that very much. Our staff, as you all know, has lots of thoughts.
Yes. And a lot of thoughts have been shared.
Yes.
And that's okay too. And I want, it's not a secret process. It's just time consuming and I can't give a minute by minute update to everyone. But we are, we are working to, in the best interest of the agency. So, all right. So with that, I, at this time, am going to entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing litigation where conducting the discussion in open session would have a detrimental effect on the position of the organization, and to adjourn at the conclusion of the adjourn this general officers meeting at the conclusion of executive session.
So moved.
Again,
Motion made by Sam and second made by Jen. Roll call is required. Sam,
Yes.
Jen,
yes.
Erin, yes. And we are going to go into executive session at 9:58 a.m. We are going to pause here so we can stop streaming.
Recording and the streaming, yeah.
Yes, will do.